So for today's video, I wanted to talk about the question that I see all the time. That is, why is my partner being so suspicious with their phone and what can I do? Now, this is a question I see all the time in the YouTube comments or in various ways this question is being answered. And what I actually hear from these questions that I keep seeing is, what do I do if my partner's essentially, creating these behaviors that are being the cause of red flags? And if I'm seeing these red flagging behaviors, how do I approach it? How do I have the conversation? So, we're going to answer all of these things, including the specific question about what to do if your partner is being suspicious with their phone in the video here today. The first thing I want to start off with is the difference between privacy versus secrecy. I think these two things are easily conflated, but they're actually very different. The idea of privacy is not an unhealthy thing. In fact, having a basic need for privacy can serve because it can empower a person's individual autonomy and freedom. It can make sure that they are letting selective people in their lives into their inner world or inner space, which is healthy because you don't want to just let in everybody if people are going to necessarily, in certain cases, violate that space. There's also an element of personal security people might be concerned about, mental well being, and there's a degree of freedom of expression that can be supported through the idea of building trust. And once trust has been earned more and more over time, then we can really selectively allow more of those individuals with that earned trust into our inner world and inner space. So, privacy in and of itself is not necessarily bad. A total lack of privacy, I would argue, is even a potentially unhealthy thing. Secrecy, on the other hand, essentially refers to the idea that somebody's deliberately concealing or hiding certain information. And there's usually some sort of intent to manipulate or get out of something or even avoid or shirk accountability for something. And when you're in a relationship with somebody or considering being in a relationship with somebody, if there are a lot of secretive behaviors where you can tell that they're hiding things or withholding things, especially things that as you're building more and more of a bond with them would actually be healthier to share and have an element of transparency around, now we're talking about something completely different that should be addressed. And I think the second thing that I want to dive into before we actually talk about specifically what to do if your partner's acting this way is we also are entitled to healthy standards in a relationship. And healthy standards mean that we are allowed to, communicate the things that are important to us. Standards are different and unique for each person. One person might have a standard where transparency is a really important standard that they have in the relationship. So they feel like there's a sense of openness and communication. Another person may have a standard that's completely separate. They may have a standard of, wanting to be acknowledged or appreciated in the relationship. But I think it's a very fair standard to have, that you want an element of transparency if you are in a committed relationship and you feel like there's a sense of secrecy. So if you are noticing some of these red flags, the literal worst thing you can do is ignore them because you will either see them build up and they will be unaddressed and they will maybe be indicative of actually, a breach of trust in some form, or they will not be talked about or addressed in a healthy way. And it will just create more and more of an invisible wall between yourself and your partner. There can be reasons that people are secretive that are not necessarily about violating the relationship, that are not necessarily about lying or infidelity. But those tend to be, a much smaller percentage overall. Generally, secrecy is something that needs to be addressed because it is a red flag. So if you see different dynamics like this, specifically something with your partner constantly hiding their phone or pulling their phone away or turning it so it's face down, or you can tell that there's actual like secret behaviors there or secrecy around it. The first thing that I would do is I would address it directly. And I would say something like, hey, I respect your need for privacy, but I do feel like there's a difference between privacy and secrecy. And I'm getting some sort of, picture here where you're not being totally honest with me about different things that are happening in the relationship. Are we in a place where we can be transparent and discuss these things? And when you're doing things like putting your phone face down or hiding it away, is there a reason for that? Because I would like to address it directly. And if you can communicate openly with your partner and really be clear and sort of initiate the transparency that you're looking for in the relationship dynamic, you cannot guarantee that your partner is going to have a perfectly healthy response, but you can pretty much guarantee that your partner's response is going to give you a lot more important information. And you're either going to see that the partner addresses it and addresses it in a healthy way, or that the person doubles down on their secrecy. And in that case, I would continue to call out these dynamics around secrecy and communicate that, hey, it's really important for me to feel like I can trust. And trust comes with transparency and a building of this together. And if you were seeing consistent, violations of trust, consistent, red flags sort of showing up everywhere in a variety of different forms, that may not be the right relationship for you. That may be the type of relationship that you want to walk away from. And on the other hand, if you're seeing that there's a lot of healthy discussion that evolves out of being transparent and literally addressing the situation that you're concerned about head on, I want you to know that that's the foundation being set for a securely attached relationship. And it doesn't necessarily only relate to, red flags that you're seeing around suspicion, but the ability to see things that make you feel uncomfortable in a relationship and to address them directly so they can be resolved. So you're not misreading things, or so that you're not in a position where if something doesn't feel good for you, you're not sharing about that, right? The more you repress yourself, it's like this form of self abandonment. So when you can have these dialogues, and it doesn't mean that you have to like take your partner's phone and say, I need to now look through it. But you can say, look, sometimes when there's like this element of secrecy around it, it doesn't feel good. And I want us to communicate and also know that if there's a problem in the relationship, that we're not hiding it from each other, that we can talk about these things directly. The more you can call things out directly, the more you are moving towards secure attachment dynamics in a relationship. And if you call something out in a healthy way and it's, you just see more red flags everywhere, it really may be time to reevaluate the relationship itself. So let me know if you want more content about these sorts of dynamics, like these sort of daily things that may happen in your relationship about your partner being dismissive or ignoring or being suspicious, or these sort of common things that you might be feeling. And also, if you're not sure what your attachment style is, we have a free attachment style quiz down below that gives you a full, really in-depth report, so that you can start to navigate like what you are and also maybe what your partner might be and help bridge some of those gaps in communication. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you are a subscriber to the channel, thank you for being here. And if you're a non-subscriber, please consider subscribing in the future. I would love to have you as part of our community. And thank you for watching.